Hello everybody, welcome back. Moonchild here. It's Monday, May the 16th. So I thought I would talk briefly about the Meghan Markle versus Samantha Markle lawsuit. Actually, it's Samantha suing her sister. And recently, Meghan's attorneys have come back and they filed a motion to dismiss. So I'm going to kind of give you a summary and give you my thoughts on it without reading, through all of the motions that have been filed, because it's too long and arduous, and when you're talking about legal jargon, it just, you kind of get lost in it. So I'm going to give you what my take is on it and what I think the outcome will be. Start with a disclaimer. These are all just my thoughts, opinions, and based on the information that I found on the public domain, my research, and conversations with other people in the legal field. So here's a picture of Sam and Meghan. So recently, the motion again was filed that Meghan wanted to have the case dismissed, that there wasn't enough merit for it to be able to go forward and take up the court's time. And Meghan's also asking for any legal bills that she's incurred thus far that Samantha, oh, it's all right, babe, that Samantha would then have to pay. All right, so let's get into it a little bit. If you're outside of the U.S. or if you're in the U.S. but you're not familiar with the legal system, let me just state that depending on the state that you live in, laws can differ from state to state. So it's because Samantha filed this and she resides in the state of Florida, it's going to go by state Florida law. And so in some regards, this is actually going to hurt Sam. And I think Sam should have really gotten into this long before now, because even Meghan's attorneys in the motion to dismiss talked about a lot of the allegations that Sam is making have exceeded the statute of limitations. And I'll tell you why that is. That's what's going against her, and that's the state of Florida. In the defamation lawsuit, statute of limitations is a 2-year period. I'm going to have to keep tapping my screen here so my recorder doesn't go down. So let's talk about this. Let me go back. I'm trying to look at my notes that I've taken here. So Meghan had the lawsuit with the Mail on Sunday regarding the publication that her father had provided them with a letter that she wrote, the Dear Daddy letter. All right. At the end of that, it was evidence came in that Jason Knopf, who used to work at the palace for Harry and Meghan, was provided an email by Meghan in which she gave background history on her family and her sister. And this goes back to chapter 12 in the Finding Freedom book, A Problem Like Samantha, and what was actually included. Now, even though Meghan put a whole bunch of information on there, just because she put it on there, it all wasn't in Finding Freedom. And I even went back and looked through some of this. So just because she made the statement and it was in the email that Jason provided to the court doesn't mean that it was actually published in there. Also, it doesn't mean that Omid and Carolyn didn't do research and interview and talk to other people and find the own information on the public domain too, to verify some of this information that was provided to them by Meghan via Jason, which I think they had a face-to-face or a sit-down. And this way, it kept Meghan from actually saying that she ever met with them face-to-face or that she ever talked to them. She, was trying to trick us all. But I guess, in all actuality, she could tell the royal family she had never met with either one and had any discussions about the book. So, and I'm sorry, I know you're going to hear my dog in the background. He has allergies as well as I do, although I think mine are better today. All right, so let's go on with that. So in the state of Florida, the statute of limitations is 2 years. Well, if you look back at this lawsuit and when the email was written, actually, that goes back and that goes, let's see, the email to Jason was December of 2018, I believe it was. So let's see, 18, 19, so we're at 4 years now, going on 4 years. And the statute of limitations is 2 years. So that really means that Meghan, I don't think, could be held liable for anything that was in that letter from Jason. And also, she didn't write the book. it may have seemed like it, and she may have provided information, but to me, originally, I couldn't understand why she didn't go after Omid Scobie and Carolyn Duran and file a lawsuit directly at them. But I think what it is she thought some of the things that were said, she was mad at her sister, and again, that's that, rivalry and competitiveness where, no, I'm going after Meghan. And maybe she thought Meghan's got more money than either one of these authors will have. So I'm going to go after and shame her and blame her because I know she felt upset of being attacked in the media. And but she also did a lot of speaking now, which if you're going to do that, you better be ready for the backlash because it's going to come at you. If you don't want to get that kind of backlash, then just, to me, stay off social media, keep your mouth shut, and don't go and antagonize the people that are going to come at you. I don't know. That's just my opinion. So anyway, so I think some of those things will be thrown out. So, it was said that, I'm just looking back at my notes. At the Oprah interview, that she was an opportunist, and and she talked about kind of being an only child and kind of not being close to her siblings. Well, when you look at that, it's no different than what I'm doing and using my freedom of speech and stating my own opinion. To me, that's kind of going back to, and I hate to say it, it's Meghan's truth. It's what she felt, and it's what she thought her reality was. So I don't think any of those statements that she made on there can be considered defamation. Now, those would be within the statute of limitations, but I just don't think that you would be able to, the burden of proof would be on Samantha's team to prove that she was defamed because of saying that she was an only child and wasn't close to her siblings and that she didn't grow up with them and hadn't seen them for a number of years, even though it may not have been the exact truth and lies. It's still not defamation according to the wording of the law of defamation. Now, let's go on to some other things. Then, let's see, Florida doesn't have a discovery rule. Sam filed her case in March of this year, 2022. And I think that some of the other things that were listed in there about when Samantha was divorced and that Samantha changed her name to Markle because she wanted to trade off the fact that Meghan was dating Harry. Well, there's some information, and I know I've heard Samantha say this before, that she could show proof of when she changed her name. She may have changed her name then, but if she were still using the names Rasmussen and Grant, which she did, even if it was to file her taxes or if it was on titles of her car or her credit cards, if she didn't change her name back to Markle on everything, then I think a court would look at it and say, well, you weren't just Markle because you were Rasmussen on this, on your mortgage, you were Rasmussen on that, or Grant. And even though legally you may have changed her name back to Markle. So that doesn't change the fact that she was using other names. So I think that's going to go against Samantha. Also, the courts are going to uphold freedom of speech and say that she's got a right to give her opinions and her views on these different things. And I think what Samantha should have done was she should have filed her suit sooner, or she should have filed a lawsuit against Carolyn Duran and Omid Scobie, in my opinion, because they're the authors of Finding Freedom. Even though somebody provides, like if I were writing a book or Lady C was writing a book, it provides us information, we're the ones that are going to be held responsible whether or not we put it in there. We won't, the people that gave us the information aren't going to be held responsible. And that's why we have to do our due diligence to look to see if we can find other sources or information to back up their claims. And if not, we have to state that it's just allegedly or it's just an opinion, but that it's not a fact. So that's where you get into the legal jargon again. Let's see some of the other things. But again, I think she should have went after them. Why she went after her sister, I don't know. Because, again, we may feel like, oh, yeah, that's defamation. But according to the letter of the law, That's ultimately what's going to count. And Sam has the burden of proof put on her and her attorneys, that she has to prove that Meghan said these things to defame her, and she has to be able to prove that there was loss of income on the book that she wrote, Diary of a Pushy Princess Sister, or whatever it was. It's hard to be able to prove that stuff, and it's very costly to do that, because you have to get forensics accountants and different things in there to be able to go back and look and analyze it and see what income you had coming in, what income that previous years were. And it would be hard to prove that her book didn't do well based on the fact that her sister said those things about her. That's going to be very difficult. Let's see, what are some other things? Sam must prove that she wrote that. And even though, again, Meghan sent that information to Jason Knopf, it doesn't mean that she could be held liable, because they can't prove that she had anything to do with the book. Yes, she may have supplied the information, but she can't be held accountable of what's actually put in the book and how it's written in there. So I think, based on the statute of limitations, and I think based on what she said in the Oprah interview and what was actually printed in the book in chapter 12, that Samantha's case is very weak. And I just don't think there's enough merit for the judges to say, yeah, let's go to trial on this, because I don't think that she's provided enough information to her attorneys, and maybe she's expected them to do all the work, but it's up to her to be able to prove that too, and I just don't think she's got enough information to do it. So therefore, I think that there's a very good possibility that this court case will be dismissed. And you can look up defamation law in the state of Florida, and I went through some of the case precedents and looked through to see what some of the outcomes were. But yeah, I just don't think she's got enough to go on, and I think that it's very likely that it's going to be dismissed. Now, if it's not dismissed, they can still settle out of court, and Meghan can say, well, I'll agree to pay you X amount of dollars just to make it go away, because the attorney fees are going to mount up. But she could also do a countersuit, and she's asking for this dismissal, and she's also asking for any lawyer fees she's already incurred for Samantha to pay. So the judge could rule in her favor to do that, or just rule to dismiss the case, but say, I'm not going to say that Samantha has to pay your attorney fees. So that could go either way, but I just don't think Samantha's had a strong case. And I think by her going on social media, going on talk shows, radio shows, that she's made herself look bad in the eyes of the court of public opinion. But when it comes down to what actual evidence that she has, I just don't think she has enough evidence. And I think that we'll see a dismissal on this. And I have a sister who's an attorney in the state of Florida, and she does very high-profile cases. And I've talked to different people about this, and I just don't think that, according to the legal judgment that or the lawsuit that Samantha had, and I went through all of that originally, and then the dismissal letter, I just don't think she has enough, because I think the way that Meghan's attorneys went back and answered, statute of limitations, or she didn't write this, that was written by the authors, there could be a couple of things that go forward, but I don't see it happening. I don't see it being a strong enough case. And just in my opinion, and I can absolutely be wrong, because I'm definitely not a lawyer, but I believe that the case will be dismissed. I don't think that Samantha has a case, and I think she's waited too long now to go back and sue Carolyn and Omid. Could she do that? Yes, but will it go to court and proceed? That I don't know. It would all depend on when she filed it, and she's going to have to come up with some money to pay lawyers, and she may not have the money to do that. A lot of these attorneys, with the amount of work that they put in their billable hours, they aren't going to take a case, especially if they're not sure they can even get enough evidence to build a case and go on it pro bono. I just think she's got a very weak case, and I don't think she'd be able to go forward on anything. And I hate to say that because I'm not siding with Meghan. I'm just going based on what I've read in these two legal briefs, that, in my opinion, I think it will be dismissed. Now, could she turn around and sue somebody else? Absolutely, she can. Is she going to have to pay Meghan's legal fees? I don't think so. But I think Samantha's going to lose. I just don't think she had enough grounds. I don't think there was enough merits in the case for a defamation lawsuit in the state of Florida based on what she has. And I think she should have stayed quiet about it and not revealed what she had, but that's her, not me. But anyway, I'm curious to what you think, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Hopefully in a couple of weeks, we'll find out whether or not it's been dismissed. But I just wanted to let you know, since this just happened, what my thoughts and opinions were. And as always, I'd love to hear yours. So I want to thank everybody for watching today. Thank you for being here. I'm about to work on another video, and then I'm going to share some of the comments from that were in our community, because I'm telling you, I think I have one of the best community of friends on my channel. I love what you all have to say, and you're so bright, and you come up with so many things that, Lord, I never even think of. And the way you put it, I thought it's just amazing. So I'm definitely going to share a few of those, and then one where somebody asked me a question, and I'll share a little bit more about myself. But let me let you know, too, that I plan on doing a live stream interview, hopefully this week, with Paula M. Mantendabich, and I'm going to say that wrong, but she's another YouTuber that reports on the royal family, and you'll know her when you see her in here. So I've sent her an invite to it, and I was hoping we could do it middle of the week this week, but I've got to see if that works out with her schedule. But as soon as we know something, I'm sure she'll put something out on her channel, and I'll let you all know so that you can join in. It'll be my first time running StreamYard by myself, so I'm not sure if we'll be able to bring people up on the panel this particular time, or how much I'll be able to look in the chat and moderate, and I may even need some moderators. So if that's something that you want to do, just to make sure we don't get bombed by somebody going in and saying something inappropriate, then let me know. But as soon as I get a confirmation back on Paula, on what day we can do that this week, and I'll let you all know. So talk to you all soon. Have a lovely week, and I'll see you in the next video.